You were the shadow to my light. Did you feel us? Another star, you fade away. Afraid our aim is out of sight. Wanna see us alive. Where are you now? Where are you now? Where are you now? Was it all in my fantasy? Where are you now? Were you only imaginary? Where are you now? Memories under the sea, under the sea. Where are you now? Another dream.
And thanks for dropping by to my very first vlog. What we're going to talk about today is questions that many people have, never seem to be able to find the answers to. So we begin by simplifying life. If we translate ourselves into something material that we know, that we can understand, it's so much easier to understand life as it is. So we'll start off with a common and garden computer. Well, when you decide you want to do something, you go and buy yourself a computer. So off to the nearest computer shop, you have a look around the showroom. Is your computer you like? I think it's nice. Oh, I want to do that. I want to have that one. So what you do is you buy it, you bring it home. When you get it home, you put it all together, you follow the instructions to the letter. You switch it on, it comes on, but nothing happens. And you think, well, I followed the rules, I followed the instructions, so why isn't it working? So you get on the phone and you phone the person who supplied you it and you say, I've got a bit of a problem. The computer I have, I brought home, I switched it on, but nothing happened. So they tell you, say, bring it in and we'll have a look at you. So you take it all the way back down, and then they realise they haven't put any operating systems on it. So of course, you can't use it. How does this all tie in to what I'm going to explain next? Well, that's a simpler version. So it's whether or not you understand the concept of what I'm going to say now, or whether you don't. That'll explain it probably easier. You can't get your computer kicked into life unless it has a BIOS. It must have an overriding protocol that actually says you must do this, you must do that, you must do that. In a human case, it's cognitive thought patterns. But unfortunately, cognitive thought patterns doesn't necessarily mean that they actually function that way. Throughout our lives, we pick up many things. Some things are transferred to us at birth, and other things are transferred to us via friends, family. Things that don't quite sit right are called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is where you have two contradictory elements in your mind that says, no, you can't do that. The other one says, yes, I can. And that's where the doubt comes in. The second one is cognitive teachings, and that's things like what our mums, our dads, our aunties, our uncles, all of our family members, our friends, all give us this information to sort of give us a better life when we advance in our world. Mum and dad has the most authority because obviously they're the ones who programmed you to start with. Then it goes aunties, uncles, because you relate the bloodline with the same as your mum and dad. So enough of that anyway. Let's get on to the main subject. It's a system called R.E.G.I. That's R.E.G.I. That's recalling existing genetic information, commonly known as universal knowledge. Some people have access to this information and others don't. Or do they? Everyone has access to their own universal knowledge. It's just they switch the settings down. When we're created, like the computer, before we make any major changes in that computer, we back the information up. And then we transfer it to a disk, or we transfer it to a hard drive, another hard drive. And providing that those both entities link together with frequencies, energies, you create this wonderful thing called you. And you are a wonderful thing. So how does this work? Well, it works quite easy. Your mother and father, while in the throes of, well, producing you, for want of a better word, they're actually backing up information, and they deliver it in a frequency. In other words, the frequencies that they're emitting goes into making up who you are. So from a very early age, you learn frequencies. When you're conceived, when you're a fetus, there is no verbal language. There is no means of communication other than the fact of the frequency. Listening on mum's heartbeat, her moods, and as we all know, pregnant women tend to get more moody, and the hormones play up a bit. The reason being is because you're teaching the child something from birth. So how does all that information come into the play? Well, you have a portion of your father and you have a portion of your mother. Those memories all get together. Now when they go into you, it creates what they call universal knowledge. In other words, your family's bloodline, because it would have been passed down from your father's father to the father's father, right the way back throughout time. Same with the mother. We didn't survive as a race by just growing up and going forward. We survived as a race by being able to hand down this information, whether or not we access it. Many people in their lives don't, and usually finds the one that can access that information don't have many friends, or they don't go out much, because when they come into contact, they're so used to using their frequencies to find problems that they see problems in the people that they associate with. So they tend to isolate themselves away, because in that way then their frequencies are not interrupted by anyone else's. What good's this to you? Well, as you know, this is my first vlog. I've been able to do what I've been able to do for 55 years of my life. Well, 54 and X amount of days. But now, I've decided enough's enough and I should explain it. So how do we get this information? Well, the information is relatively easy to get to. It's getting rid of the rubbish that's been put there. If you go to a life coach, go to a public speaker, go to a psychiatrist, go to a psychologist even. These people, although they try, they only answer you with a question. So you say, why do I feel this way? And they'll say, why do you think you feel this way? Well, that doesn't really give you an answer, does it? Although it says, look inside yourself for the answer, there's no guidance to get to that answer. So that's your first mistake. Is psychologists or psychiatrists any good? Life coaches, public speakers. Well, you can't really say this, because unless they can get onto the frequency where you are, because your primal instinct, you'll input more information through a frequency than anything you'll take in verbally or visually, because the frequency is the first language. It's a language which outdoes every other language as regards to French, German, Italian, Ukrainian, Russian. It doesn't matter. They're geographical locations, but we are a human race. We are all the same. We all emit energies. We all emit frequencies. It's just that over time we rely on technology. We rely on to advance us, so we don't have to use those skills. But those very skills that were given to us were to make sure that our primal instincts always took precedent over everything else. For a man, his primal instincts are self-preservation, subsistence, and reproduction. Whereas when you talk to a lady, the lady's not as harsh. She's far more gentler. So therefore it would be protect, provide, and produce. They mean the same things, but they input differently. Crucially, words have a lot to do with how we send the frequencies out. If you're coming across it where you seem to be having a problem communicating with people, well, the problem isn't with them. The problem is with you. Are you communicating at the level that they're communicating at? Or are you communicating lower or higher? If your frequency is lower, communicating with someone on a higher frequency is going to be difficult. You cannot really do that unless you have somebody who has a wide scope of frequencies. But these people usually stay very hidden. They don't normally show people who they are or what they are. So how's this going to help you? Well, first of all, you have to find out where you last left it. Because where you last left it, you would have put a password on it. Because we always protect important things with some sort of security. We always have done, we always will do. So, what's this got to do with self-preservation? Well, self-preservation is your primal instinct. That one there overrides everything else. Any law, any friendship, it overrides all else. So you have to look at it as one of the key elements to keeping you safe. Unfortunately, over the years, we rely on things like guns, we rely on locks, we rely on all other things to keep us safe. But none can be as well equipped as your frequency modulator. It can't be. Because this is something that has grown in you for all of your life. It was handed down to you from your previous generations. And I know that a lot of people out there will say, poppycock. Well, this theory can be proved. Words can change the way we see things. Words can also change the way we are. If I was to say to you certain words on a conversation with you, each word that you have subconsciously forgotten the password to get into that information. If we were to switch them all on, your head would be in chaos. Your head would go pop. Because once you switch them all on, it means they're going to be at full and maximum value. It's not what you want. You need to switch each individual one that's representative to you. You are unique after all. So if you are not very confident, first of all, you would switch on the self-esteem and the confidence, generate a certain amount of air about you. So with the other information, you could actually bring that out with an air of confidence that says, I'm relying on that information, which then produces greater results for you. If you're no good at speaking in public, again, that could cause a bit of a problem, because it means you're always going to be hiding away from everything. But then if you talk too much, like myself, you quickly lose track of what's going on in the world. So focus would be one of the main elements. So where do we go from here? Well, R.E.G.I is a very, very, very good system, and you need to start using it a lot more. But later on I'll be making a video on how to find it, because it is only lost. It's covered by a password, but a conversation usually clears the password. If you're very upset and you need some words to sort things out for you, just for the time being, they'll only last for a short while, between 30 and 40 days. But it'll give you 30 or 40 days to get your thoughts together. And then if you want more help, then you just drop me an email and I'll do the best that I can. I'm not saying I can know you inside out, because that's not possible. Because for this to work properly, it has to come into human contact, because that's where all three elements play the vital role. And that vital role is your body language, your frequency, and the way that you communicate it. If you cannot communicate something, it means you're not locked onto someone's frequency. And if you're not locked onto their frequency, nothing else is going to fit. I personally use the eyes. I look at the eyes. The eyes tell me everything I need to know. It tells me how low your frequency is, or how high your frequency is. If your frequency is too low, not even I can get there. So I have to find a way of bringing your frequency up to a level where you feel comfortable, you feel happier. Once you become happier, you'll learn at a greater rate. If you're depressed, how can you learn when you're depressed? The biggest killer to any human being is sympathy and pity. Because sympathy and pity are only drawn by a victim. If you're a victim, you're never going to find your universal knowledge. There's certain things you have to be honest about yourself. Sometimes that can be hard. Sometimes it's words you don't want to hear. But those words are crucial to your development. If you want to learn a bit more, just put a little note down in the comments below, and as time comes along, I'll do the videos to suit what you need. I won't do the full one because it's a lot of work, but if you put your comments in, then I'll combine it within one video, and I hope that's helped. Anyway, you have a lovely evening. Bye.
You were the shadow to my light. Did you feel us? Another star, you fade away. Afraid our aim is out of sight. Wanna see us alive. Where are you now? Where are you now? Where are you now? Was it all in my fantasy? Where are you now? Were you only imaginary? Where